I love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor. Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Kevin, Sara, and I are here, as well as a face from the past. Josh is back after a long break from the Tribe of Nerds, so really excited to have Josh back. And we're here to talk about the next step in our X-Men rewatch with the very first Deadpool. So background on this, the Rotten Tomatoes score for Deadpool, critics gave it an 85%, the audience gave it a 90%. So pretty even there. The audience loved this movie. The box office, it made $782.6 million. So at the time it was the highest grossing rated R movie. And then Logan and Deadpool 2 got added to that, and something else, I think. I don't recall what the other movie was.
Joker, probably.
Joker. It was Joker. Yeah. So those were the 4 rated R movies that made the most money. So
we're gonna add a 5th one to that list pretty soon.
Oh, yeah, we are about to with Deadpool and Wolverine. So, but what are your guys' impressions on Deadpool before we go and bounce around the characters and the plot points and everything?
Well, I do not want to hear from the man wearing a Deadpool unicorn shirt, so let's go with Josh, because he seems way cooler than Kevin, so.
You can go.
Well, we'll take the Spider-Man shirt first. Absolutely love Deadpool. Before the movie came out, played the video game. Absolute huge fan. That's actually, I ended up getting this Funko Pop. I think it was slightly after the movie, but it's Scrub-a-dub-a-dub-dub Deadpool. Absolutely love it. Ryan Reynolds somehow was the perfect choice. Mm-hmm. I would have never thought of it, just because most of us saw the Wolverine movie, and we were like, wow, he's horrible. But he was great in like the first 10 minutes, and then they changed everything. I was like, I hope I never see him again. And then here, like 8 years later, Deadpool came out, and everyone was like, wow, this guy should be Deadpool for the rest of his God-given life. Fantastic movie. I absolutely love it. I just rewatched it. It's the first time I've seen it again, I think, since I went and saw it in theaters in February of 2016. So I went into it like, I know everything about this movie. Nothing will surprise me. I rewatched it. I was correct. I knew everything about this movie. I was quoting word for word, and I was like, yep, wow, we're still the same fucked up teenager that I was in 2016 when I went and saw it at 15 years old, and somehow they let me in the theater. But I said, hey, I'm a child. Can I see this R-rated film? And they said, what seat would you like? And I went and watched it. So
I was not a teenager when it came out, but that's fine.
We know.
Yeah, we know, Evan.
He had 32 graduation caps by that point.
Yeah, Kevin, your thoughts on Deadpool?
So I know that, like, before we started recording, we kind of talked about how that first big fight scene was like leaked, right? Like that was like test footage that they submitted to the studios to be like, see, this could be great, and they were like, oh, whatever, and then they leaked it. So I had seen that, so I was like super excited about this. And it was even funnier than I had remembered. My only disappointment was just that, like, as an X-Men fan, there weren't like even more X-Men in it. Like, you know what I mean? But like there's like the joke about Colossus and Negasonic being the only 2 X-Men that they could get is very funny. So like also totally worth it. Like I remember knowing she was going to be in it, so like doing research to know who she was, but then like her character is just her character, and it's funny. So like I was super into it. I'm still super into it. It's great. I love it. I would have been one of the ones giving it 100 and bumping that score up. Yeah, well, so to go into that, I believe Negasonic Teenage Warhead was added to the movie because I think they sold her to Fox so Marvel could get Ego for Guardians 2. I believe that's how it went. So
yep.
which is a crazy thing to think about that we
Crazy trade. Hey, we'll give you a teenage girl and you get the life-altering and eating planet. And you're, yes, that's what we'll take.
And
honestly, who's the more memorable character though?
True. I've never heard of Kurt Russell since, but we've seen Teenage Nickelodeon Teenage Warhead, and we're going to see her again. So
true.
Kurt Russell, I think, died during that. No,
I think died. I think he was just kind of a dick, and he just like turned into David Hasselhoff for a minute. But Negasonic Teenage Warhead, she's blowing shit up. She's fighting.
She is
with
dating Yukio.
She's dating Yukio.
Yep.
It's great.
She won.
Yes, true.
Yeah. So that was honestly seemed on paper like the worst end of the deal, but it was the better end of the deal.
Very true.
For all of us.
The one time Fox got lucky.
Yes. For sure. Sarah, your thoughts on Deadpool?
Well, this one's a little harder because, well, you guys made me skip the one movie that he's in. So, like, but I do think coming into this movie, it wasn't what I was expecting at all. You know, like watching the other X-Men, you see, you know, it's just very much like tropey movie kind of thing. And then you come into this and it's very much ass kicking, breaking the fourth wall and stuff. It's so different. And there are some parts in it where I'm like, that part, it was kind of corny. Like there was one part where it was at the end and like Deadpool rolled over some guy and he was like, teabag, fucking hilarious, right? But then like 30 seconds later, you see the one girl punch Silver Dick in the dick or whatever. And it's just like too many dick shit. You know, the teabag I was cool with, but like tropey, just punching the dick, like, you know, so there were some elements that I was like, did you need to do that though? But the entire premise of the movie and like how they were able to fit it into that multiverse with making him mutate was really neat. Getting to see that process, it was really relatable because it's what I feel like every time I have to play an org with Kevin. I'm just suffocating and drowning. My skin burns. It's fucking aggravating. So, I mean, overall, I really liked it. I'm excited to see where this journey goes.
Oh boy. Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy how well this movie worked humor-wise, and like I mean, this is something that really was new for the genre. This level of humor, fourth wall breaking, and this really set a precedent moving forward for just any of the Marvel universes, Fox or MCU or whatever. So we wouldn't have gotten certain things if we didn't get Deadpool in 2016. So, and other movies have tried to copy it and have been unsuccessful. So,
like, I think too of like, so like, there's so many jokes about like Blind Al doing coke, which are hilarious because it's like this little blind lady who's like mouthing off and like, give me my coke, right? And it's funny. And then there are like other R-rated movies who like try to make references to doing drugs, and it's like, but this isn't funny. You're just trying to copy them because it was funny when they did it. Like,
yeah,
it's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah, 16 kilos of cocaine next to the cure for blindness.
Oh, that was so fucking good. Honestly, though, just so relatable. Like, I do like this movie. I do like this character a lot. And with Josh saying like he was like hesitant with Ryan Reynolds casting, like, did you see Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends? Because that movie is fucking great.
No, because you didn't watch Wolverine. You didn't watch X-Men Origins. So you don't know what we were scared about.
Yeah, so I want to bring that
I guess
up.
Ryan Reynolds was also in the Green Lantern, so
yeah, Green Lantern.
God,
and he's in Blade
okay.
Trinity.
Well,
So, Ryan Reynolds has
that
been
up.
in bad comic book movies. But no, I did want to bring up, so they reference the Origins Wolverine design when the action figure that Ryan Reynolds or Wade picks up in after one of the flashbacks, and then obviously when they threaten to sew his mouth shut and he's like, oh no, you better not do that.
Yeah.
So I love that he's able to make fun of what they did before, and we'll see in Deadpool 2 when they get to finish that off.
And it's like, you can tell that it's like the studio interference was like clearly the problem with the last time he was Deadpool. And like, he has so much more like control and respect for the character that like, that's why it works so much better. You can also like see that on the screen, and it's so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's talk more about Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Again, like you just said, Kevin, like the humor just feels so natural. Ryan Reynolds feels so passionate about playing this character, and like a lot of it is the humor and what Ryan Reynolds is known for. But like even rewatching this, like you get to the scene where he finds out he has cancer, and just like the seriousness with which he plays that, and like trying to get Vanessa back, and just like I just feel like this is overall, just with everything, one of his best roles. Before we
it's
get
nice,
continue,
like you said, he has a lot more creative control on it, because like you said, with those more serious moments, like that's not really his forte. So like
Right.
this character, he's taking control of it, but also inserting himself into it, and it makes it relatable, because like people like me, you can be devastated by cancer and like have all these horrible things going on, but you can still find like the jokes to make about it, or the comedic relief in every situation. And I think that's what makes him perfect for this role, and vice versa. So agreed.
right. Before we continue, our pre-merger Cameron is actually here. So...
No, he's not.
He made
He's
it.
Hi.
Hi.
And
We're in the middle of the recording.
Yeah,
Hi,
we
everybody.
are
I'm
starting an
Cameron. I don't know
alliance.
if you remember me. Love you all. Hi, Josh. Don't know if we've met. I'm late. Deadpool rocks. Let's just jump into where y'all are at.
Yeah, we're touching
Dude,
on
yeah,
Ryan
we already
Reynolds'
made an
Deadpool.
alliance. We're not gonna play friend vivers, so you're out.
it merges at 4. Sorry, Cam.
It's fine. You know what? It's fine. I'll go.
And he even wore his brown shirt for me.
Look at
mean,
him slowly walking away.
I mean,
I told him once nobody looks good in a brown shirt.
well, hopefully
And
Cameron's
he was
not wearing the.
one.
It's a good thing Cameron's not wearing the brown pants. Because then
He wore
Yeah,
the brown
exactly.
pants. Oh, it's so good. It's so funny.
yeah. Well, Cameron, what are your impressions of Deadpool before we continue with where we were at?
Yeah, since we're jumping back now, this isn't Deadpool 2. We're not time traveling, but let's do it.
I mean, the second best Deadpool portrayal since the original.
Okay.
What?
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. But I'm glad they still went with Ryan Reynolds, even though it was like a soft reboot of the character. And I think because of its kind of controversial start with the footage leaking and then getting greenlit and then producing it the way they did, it could have just been a cult classic. Like there didn't need to be sequels. He didn't need to connect to anything. If it was just Deadpool, this movie rocks, and it would probably have a solid fan base forever just because of the way it's made. Like it's not made like a regular Marvel movie or X-Men movie. It was made for fun and for the fans, and that's exactly what it was.
For sure. Well, let's continue with talking about Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool as we were discussing. Any other thoughts on Ryan's portrayal?
He's perfect.
Yeah.
They should never, ever, 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 ever have anybody else. I know we're literally about to watch a movie where other people are Deadpool, but it's including the dog, but he's just perfection. They found it. They hit the nail right on the head as soon as it came to somehow casting the best Deadpool in the shittiest Wolverine movie, but they did it. And he stuck around and he was passionate and he wanted to do it again. And it blends so well with just legitimately who Ryan Reynolds is, because like, as Sara was talking about, if you watch other movies, like it's there. You can see the puzzle pieces that he combined or build up to make Deadpool. And it's just, it flows well. The comedy, his delivery is unlike, there's a reason that he's like the second most fuckable man in the world, and that like so many guys are like, listen, there's no men that they would change sides for, but if Ryan Reynolds walks into a room, that consensus changes. And it's just, he's perfection. But his delivery, even some jokes that I wouldn't find funny, I hate jokes about flatulence. So like as soon as you bring in fart humor, I'm out. I'm like, it's not as funny to me. Soon as Deadpool walks by a blind lady, farts and says #drive-by and then slams his door, I still laugh. And I'm like, I would if that joke was in any other movie, I would have been so mad and so annoyed, like, oh, here we go. But since it was in a Deadpool movie, I'm like, oh, like Wade. Yeah, it's just what you expect. It's what you want because he's just so crass, and it's just almost played. It's just perfect. It's perfection. If anybody, I feel bad for all the other Deadpools who we're probably going to see in the new movie because honestly, no matter who they are, I don't care if they brought like fucking Bernie Mac back from the dead and he's Deadpool. It's just not going to hold a candle to what Ryan Reynolds is.
Oh, for sure. Any other thoughts?
He's also like he's such a good actor too because like a lot of the jokes, like he's a rich, famous Hollywood actor. So like a lot of the jokes about like his difficulties in life and like how hard, like how much he like grew up in a refrigerator box out, you know, in an alley, like it doesn't come off as like the rich Hollywood jerk, like talking down to people. It comes off as like one of us who's like also had trials and tribulations and like it, like the way he pulls it off is so great.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just like
I don't feel like I'm being made fun of. I feel like I'm joking with my friends.
Exactly. Well, and to point it out as well that you literally have a joke in the movie about the tiny hand, as we have Kevin and now Cameron with tiny hands. So, a hand the size of a spork.
So weird and so funny. And I mean, the highly inappropriate humor about how Blind Al needs to leave the room because it's going to feel like somebody else.
He said, I bet it feels huge in this hand.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. It's so wrong, but so funny.
Oh, and it gets even better the next movie. So.
Yes.
Any other thoughts? Are we ready to move on to Wade's relationship with Vanessa? Marina Baccarin, right, is the actress's name. Yeah, and she was in the show Firefly with Nathan Fillion. I know that. But she is
and great. She was in the show Gotham, so she's been in a DC property before.
Oh, that's funny, Cameron, that Josh said it before you, like he was here before you today.
Hey, that's fine. Like I said, this is the latest I get into these things. You know, I figured to give myself some more time by showing up later.
Yeah, did you miss the dress code memo also? I mean, we talked about how you look good in brown shirts, but
there was a dress code memo.
Yeah, if
we
you
dress
see
up
me
for
and Jake
this?
are both wearing red, and the boys are both wearing like shirts with like magic
Deadpool.
People on them. Yeah.
Or Spider-Man.
I wore my brown shirt today because for this movie, I
because
shit
he
myself.
says he wore the brown
the top.
Yeah.
I was upside down.
Cameron, I completely.
You were tied to the mast of my ship. That's right.
It was very intentional. I get it.
But
thank you. Someone understands and can deconstruct my outfit to understand why I did what I did. I'm Deadpool before the cancer.
Yeah. Also,
Right.
she was also in V. She was the alien leader from the show V that only lasted 2 seasons on ABC.
Yeah.
Either way,
I
she
wanted
could
to say I loved that, like, we get introduced to her character and she's just bantering perfectly with Ryan Reynolds and like just like
God damn it. I
that
fucking love a bitch
relationship.
with attitude.
Yeah, it was just so good. And then you have her grabbing Buck or Fat Gandalf's like dick and just being like, say the magic words, Fat Gandalf.
See, I could have dealt with that, but like, you know, like how many dick things do we need? Like I said, the silver dick punch at the end, whatever. Like we already had one, like whatever.
Okay, dick punches, unlike fart jokes, are always funny.
Depends on the context.
You might not understand this, but they always hurt. It doesn't matter how, you never get used to it. So it also like works story-wise. Like every time it hurts all over again.
Yeah, for men, we get it. Because if I'm wearing the lightest hat I own and it falls and it hits if anything gets near the square, it's code red. Like we're on high
Right.
alert. It's
Right.
DEFCON 1.
Yes.
If you're not careful, you sit on them. It's terrible.
Fucking doing a George Washington
Are
on
you
yourself?
doing drag?
Yeah. Are you tucking?
I do a great tuck job. It's fine.
I would suspect nothing less from. I believe, I don't want to skip over this comment because I think it was golden. I believe that Cam said either way she could peg him, if that's what you said, and I thought that was
It
hilarious.
doesn't have to
I don't
be
wanna-
International Women's Day.
It could be a random Wednesday in
Could be a
April,
random
and you'd
Wednesday.
still do it.
Yeah.
Pegging, which apparently Kevin Feige just came out and said that nobody working on Deadpool and Wolverine really knew what pegging meant, so he had to explain.
Which means
Of
it's
course,
got to come
Kevin
back.
Feige. Have you seen Kevin Feige? I don't think he's heard of sex before. I don't think. I think before he worked on Marvel movies, he had never heard of a woman. He hadn't even met his mother. It was only men because
I'm sure that he had heard of women and he thought that they were probably real.
that's He was like, I'm gonna have to cast like a woman one day in a comic book movie, and then he was like, oh wait, yeah, that's. He was wondering what the characters who weren't men in Marvel were, and then he found out they were women, and it was a nice change for him. But oh, Kevin, sniper rifle, Kevin.
Yep, sniping anybody who. Oh, I just remember when that came about with Owen Wilson being like, "I almost got sniped by Kevin Feige."
Everyone's like, "What?"
All right. So, anything else on Wade's relationship with Vanessa? I mean, I think it informs a lot when like he is dealing with the cancer and like the moment where he's like, you know, what's he say? Like he was tuning everything out, but like she's the one who's like handling everything and like asking all these questions and like actually caring about like how to help him.
Right.
So
yeah, they're clearly just like that perfect mix. Like they have so much in common, but also like are different enough that they complement each other.
Right.
I mean, that's
When
so
I
much
first
in
saw
common. Like, one of them had a dishwasher, the other didn't. So
yeah, that's true.
I first saw it, the one thing I thought about it, like I saw it when I was 15. So I first watched it, and as a 15-year-old kid, I was like, God, can you get back to the dick jokes? Like, get the romance out of here. And now that I'm watching it as like an adult, I'm like, oh, that's why. Like, there's a reason that she's in it. But yeah, if you're 15 years old watching it, you're like, go back to the cum jokes. It's just, you're like, you want to get back to like the crass humor, but it works perfectly. Now that I rewatched it as an adult, I'm like, that's why. Like, I understand. Like, would I date Vanessa? No. But it's she's perfect for him. So go for it.
You don't date Vanessa. Vanessa dates you.
That's
I was
right.
gonna say, yeah, not even Will would date Vanessa because she would require a tip. So
More pot shots at Will. Amazing.
Will's actually coming. He's just later than me because to like compensate for him going first.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's fine. But Vanessa and Wade's relationship, I thought when I saw the movie originally, I was like, this is kind of a waste of time. But rewatching it, like Josh said, I'm like, okay, it has its purpose. That gives the movie more meat and potatoes than, farts and dicks. So
it's probably the one threesome I would ever want to join is that one.
as long as nobody uses my peg leg for any pegging, you guys do whatever you want.
But yeah, no, I mean, this movie obviously came out around Valentine's Day, so like they were marketing this relationship as like a big theme of the movie, and it really is a major theme of the movie because everything Wade does is for Vanessa.
And they even made a line about it too when he brings up like, my boyfriend told me this was a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And like they're like, oh, you're obviously seeing this as a couple because your boyfriend most likely talked you into coming to see it. But it's works perfectly.
I'm pretty sure they even dropped like a trailer that specifically just highlighted the romance parts of the movie so that they could show their girlfriends the trailer. They'd think it was a Valentine's Day movie, go and see it, and sales up,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, honestly, perfect fucking marketing for sure.
Genius.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Francis, aka Ajax.
Francis.
And what's my name? But he's just, yes, he's like kind of what you would expect of like a mustache twirly British villain. But he just works in this movie. I love that this is a character who like his power is that his nerve endings got scorched with the treatment, and so like
Yes.
then he doesn't feel pain and his reflexes are heightened. Like just perfect. I think he just works as a villain for this first movie. And just perfect like antithesis to Wade in this movie.
Yeah, and like they were very smart in making the movie in terms of like having powers that were easy enough to like animate and have, and also like not overwhelm the non-comic book people who are watching, right? So like, because like Vanessa is also a mutant in the comics, and like
Okay.
yeah, and is oh yeah, she's like all white and like looks like a fox and some shit. Like I forget exactly what it is. It's been a while since I looked it up, but like she's like a full-on mutant, and so like they just didn't do that. You know, like they used people who like were strong and durable so that they could have fight scenes. So like it was smart, but like still gave us like we got Negasonic like blowing things up, which actually I'm pretty sure is not even her powers in the comic book, but like she's such a minor character in the comic book that they were like, nah, whatever. She's got a cool name.
True. Negasonic
Yeah.
What the shit?
It almost feels like they gave them a bucket and a hat with like all the D-list characters, and you pulled out Negasonic Teenage Warhead and went, yeah, let's rock with this one.
I feel like at some point Ryan Reynolds was just reading comics and was like, I'm sorry, is there a character named Negasonic Teenage Warhead? We need that one. People, we need that one. I don't care what she does. We need her.
Anything else on Francis as well?
Fucking hate him. God, I've hated him ever since I saw his stupid fucking British face. God, it drives me nuts. Every time I see him,
always got shit in his teeth.
Yeah.
I feel like the bones of Ajax is a forgettable character, but his portrayal of it is what sold it. Like he is just so hateable, and his lines are just so good to piss you off just enough that you want Deadpool to go on this quest and kill as many people as it takes to get to Francis and kill him.
Yeah.
And like it was mentioned, he is like the perfect antithesis to Deadpool in the fact where it's like, hey, like Deadpool can heal. So the one thing Deadpool can do is hurt you, but he can't hurt this guy because this guy doesn't feel pain. Like he's still getting hurt, but he just can't feel it. So he's going to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to watch, but also the fact that it was interesting because you see he was like, hey, yeah, scorch the nerve endings. I can't feel anything anymore. And, you know, once you can't really feel anything, it also kind of dimmed his mood. So, and then he was like, I don't feel anything.
Right.
Like there's no more empathy. There's no more, like, he doesn't care about anything. He just kind of is dedicated to his mission, which is, so it's crazy because you kind of piece it together before they finally unlock Wade's mutation that they are not trying to build superheroes here because they've made this guy, and this guy is terrible. Like he's an asshole, and he shows it from like the minute you meet him. He's like, oh, you got to make jokes, and he's like, it's just super angry about everything, and you're like, okay, but yeah, it was as described, perfect. Like anti-Deadpool for this movie.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Because even though Deadpool is kind of like an anti-hero, like every hero or every good guy like typically has something that keeps him grounded, which in this case would be Vanessa. And so they very clearly show you that Deadpool is always thinking about Vanessa and like keeping her safe. And whereas this guy is just, he doesn't even brush his teeth. You know what I mean? So just the opposite.
Have I ever seen anybody brush their teeth in a movie, though?
Have you ever seen Bring It On?
I haven't.
Oops.
Seriously?
This is why you're a pre-merger. Like, I don't know what
This
to
is
tell
why
you.
I didn't uniform up, okay? I don't have the bring it on kind of team mentality.
It's getting cold in here, Cam.
There must be some pre-mergers in the atmosphere.
Well,
I
Gabe,
swear, I don't even know how it got that bad. There's definitely people who have gone pre-merge so many more times.
I was
than
gonna say
have.
Gabe's not here. Gabe has gone pre-merge twice as well. So.
I just don't understand how it became a thing.
We all have our things, you know. Me and Kevin win, and you don't. So
What? I want what?
Damn.
Just the erasure, Sarah.
Sorry, my caricature isn't built up enough. You know,
No,
I didn't.
I'm sorry. I'm
I didn't
getting
have a
into the character.
catalyst.
That's what it is. I'm sorry.
Your pirate Sarah persona carries you, and you only got that because of me and other Sarah.
That's right. So my life is good and yours sucks. All because of some
I needed
shitty
something more
decision you
iconic
made.
about me as a person or in my background, and it was just too late. And by the time, the only thing people could go off is like, well, I guess he went early twice.
You should have just wore that brown shirt. You could have been brown shirt Cam. Shit shirt Cam. That could have been you.
Upside down shit shirt Cam.
There you go. That's it. Fucking perfect.
That's better. I guess it's better.
Shit shirt Cam is gonna stick. You better be careful.
I mean, it did stick right to my shirt.
It did.
But also,
sorry, Josh.
But also, we also have Francis getting helped by the less angry Rosie O'Donnell or Gina Carano.
Oh God!
Before she got
line.
fired by every single major movie studio.
Yeah, ex-Disney employee,
Oh,
former rebellion.
Right? It's just because she just speaks the truth. They can't handle it.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was rewatching this today,
Mhm.
and I went, God, that lady looks so familiar.
Yeah.
And I had no idea it was her. So I was watching it and I was like, I'm going to actually, I usually don't do this because I know everybody who's in movies usually, but I was like, I'm going to watch the credits because I don't know who this is. And I read her name and I went and just turned the TV off and I was like, fuck. Which I did no idea that it was like the angriest flame trooper ever. Like she was, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, the ex Disney, ex Galactic Empire employee. I was, oh my gosh.
At least she died in this movie, so there's no awkwardness of why she didn't come back.
Yeah. As opposed to them just doing away with her character completely and
firing her ass again. Wouldn't it be horrible if you got fired by Fox? Like if she stayed alive, she got fired by Disney, and then Disney bought Fox. So now Deadpool, she was fired all over again. Oh my gosh!
Right?
Honestly, I would have just rather died in real life rather than suffer that embarrassment. That would have been so bad.
Yeah.
She is not going to have a cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine. I do not believe.
No.
If so, it's just going to be her carcass once they get. We're going to look in the background. You see her costume with like a big ass skeleton titty hanging, and then it's just like they're like, "Oh, wonder who that is."
And it's decapitated.
God. Well, and it's interesting as well because this is like the third character in the Fox X-Men universe to be named Angel. Because what we have the actual Angel, Ben Foster's
Angel
version,
Salvador.
the one from Apocalypse, and then you have Zoe Kravitz's Angel Salvador from First Class, and then this Angel.
Shit.
Gina Carano.
Oh my god.
Her name was Angel. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I was obsessed with angels.
Yeah,
I would also guess that was mostly like Ryan Reynolds being like, it'd be funny for this character to name her Angel.
Yeah.
We named the shittiest character Angel.
Like she's angry and she's miserable and everyone hates her.
Again,
she punches a metal dude in the dick and we're like, let's call her Angel.
Right?
It's like
Let's
naming a big person.
Slap an
tiny.
angel on that thing.
Or Sarah would have been a good name for her too, I guess.
Right, like a miserable bitch.
No, you can't just be Sarah. You need something else to make it more interesting.
Angel Sarah. Just
could have called her Angel.
Saint Sarah.
That's the one.
All right, we already talked about
Valentine's.
We already talked about Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Let's talk about Colossus, which is the most accurate performance for Colossus that we've gotten. And just like the fact that they made him actually Russian, he's actually huge in this, like it just, and obviously like silver chrome body the entire time, like it's just really, really good.
Silver Dick, that's his name.
Yes. your poor wife.
I remember because they filmed some stuff outside. So I remember seeing like pictures that like onlookers had taken of like the guy who does the acting with the suit with the giant ball that's like way up above his head.
Right.
And I was like, because I was such a fan of the other X-Men movies, I was like, just have that guy, like pay him whatever he wants. Like, you can pay this man. He's not doing anything else. Like, you can pay this man to come back and just be Colossus. So then when I saw it and it was this good, I was like, all right, I see why you didn't do that.
Yeah. This just looks so good, honestly.
He just looks perfect. He talks perfect. He acts perfect. Like every line of dialogue he has is exactly what you think Colossus would be, of like serious. And he's like, we have to be the best version of X-Men we can be. And you're like, yeah, like it's for some reason I went Count Chocula on that. But it's like he just wants you to
good.
be.
I was about, you could talking like that, you could have convinced me to take cyanide. You're good.
Take
Sarah,
cyanide.
don't drink the
Take
Kool-Aid.
cyanide. Take cyanide.
Sarah, you don't
Never
drink
do
it.
Have her do it.
It's just the way he looks and the costume. Finally seeing costumes with like the actual X's and Colossus, like they look perfect, and the way that he walks, and it's everything. And his relationship with Wade is probably the best part of him being in it, because like just him being like, Wade's just like, you're really gonna fuck this up for me, and he's like, that's not nice, and he's just like he's still trying to be the mediator and just trying to be that, like Deadpool even calls him, go be a big brother to somebody else, and he's like, he literally is just a big brother figure, like, eat this protein bar, builds character, and she's okay, like he was what you would think an X-Men would act like that isn't Wolverine, and you're like, this works.
I feel like that's you, Jake, always trying to break up our shit, just trying to be the voice of reason.
That's true.
Hey guys,
Let me and Sarah argue.
Just trying to make us better people. What a dick, dude.
What a dick.
Paint yourself silver and slap your
you.
ass, Borucki.
Yeah, God. Yeah, I would be the one to say 4 or 5 moments, and then Kevin or Sarah.
4 moments.
Just shoot the other one anyway.
And then when Wade shoots him and he throws up, it's like, it's so funny. Like,
then he looks up and he's crying and he goes, why?
Right. And it works for the character, and it's funny in the movie because like you expect this big chrome guy, and especially like the last performance, like granted they gave him nothing, but like he was just like big and silver. So like he didn't even have lines most of the time. So like to go from that to like this very like even bigger but now sillier version, great choices.
And the fact that he's even telling Gina Carano to like cover up after her titty comes hanging out, like it's just so good.
He's just so polite, such a gentleman.
Yes.
All right, and then we have our other side characters. You have Blind Al, you have Weasel, and you have Dopinder. Weasel, fun fact, TJ Miller is not coming back because Ryan Reynolds and TJ Miller hate each other. And so Weasel will not be in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, no, and TJ Miller, didn't he get Me Too'd and canceled?
Yeah, he did get canceled as well, but like they
if Ryan Reynolds hates you, I'm just gonna go on the record and say you should probably just die for the good of humanity. Right. But it's like, I mean, come on, Ryan Reynolds. How does he not like someone? Like, maybe if you're you have to be a jerk or like a bad person. And he's like, I did nothing wrong. I'm like, I don't believe that. If Ryan Reynolds doesn't like you, you did something wrong.
Exactly.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got to be hard to piss off Ryan Reynolds, who can probably take anything as a joke or understand where you're coming from most of the time.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm fine with the character in Deadpool 1 and 2. I laugh at some of the lines, but like, I'm not gonna like miss the fact that he's not gonna be in Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, I'm not gonna be like, where's Weasel? I'm not gonna care. So
I won't miss
There's gonna
him,
be so much
but
screen time to go around.
so much. I appreciate a lot of his comedy, especially in this movie.
Yeah.
There are certain key moments that are just hilarious.
Mhm.
That like he really sells it. He did good in the first two movies, but also you're totally right in the fact that like, am I going to go to the movie theater and like protest outside because Weasel isn't showing up? Like no. I'll be totally fine. I'll be like, yep, Hugh Jackman is Deadpool. I'll never think about fucking Weasel again. When they could tell me that Weasel hung himself in the movie, I'd be like, well, we got Wolverine. And I'd just move right on with my life. But it was, some of his lines in this movie are just perfect. Like, he's like, oh, drinks on me. And he goes, domestic, nothing imported. And that just works for me.
Like, the character he played, like, he always plays the same character, but it works for Deadpool, right? Like, he played that character in like Transformers, and it was just like annoying, but it worked. However, I don't need him. That's not why I'm going to see a Deadpool movie. So,
It works because he's supposed to be annoying, and everyone can believe that Deadpool would hang out with this person because he too is insufferably annoying. So as soon as you see them together, you're like, oh, this works. But also now, like, Deadpool, now that we're giving him something else to focus on, it's almost kind of like, even if he didn't hate him, I feel like they still wouldn't bring him back just because they're like, we have enough. Like, from all the characters we've seen only from the trailer, I know we're missing like 50% of everyone we're going to see in the movie. But yeah, it's just crazy because like everyone that we've seen, we don't need him. He's not gonna like I hate to say it like this because it sounds cruel, but he's not going to be missed. We're gonna move right on with our lives and forget that he was ever fucking in this franchise.
We're still gonna have Blind Al, great character. We're still gonna have
Dopinder.
Peter.
Peter. We'll talk about Peter next week.
Peter, that's the one. I'm like the guy who just wanted to be part of a team.
And Yukio.
Yes, we will have those. So
we'll talk about those. Oh my gosh! But yes,
next week we'll be here. We'll talk about them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, my favorite Weasel line probably in both movies is where he's like, when Wade is going to go face Francis, and he's just like, I would go, but I don't wanna.
Like, respectable.
It echoes one of my favorite lines in Bob's Burgers because it's when Jimmy Pesto, January 6th, Jimmy Pesto was like, he showed up and he said, hey, I would have shown up earlier, but I had other stuff to do. Or like, I had other stuff that I wanted to do before this. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, I love that line.
All right. Anything I did want to talk about Dopinder because it's just such a wholesome character, and then you have the whole storyline of Wade being like you giving him advice on how to get the girl, and he literally kidnaps the girl, like
Bantu, and it's like the bump, and Klaus just goes, "What was that?" He goes, "Bum who?"
And Deadpool's like, no, you shouldn't do that. I'm so proud.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that was my favorite.
You should
part.
drop him off safely at home. Kill him. And get him
Yes.
Kill him. Hide the body. Pull his teeth out. Kill him. Don't do that. It was great.
Yeah. I do like the subtle too, like Deadpool, Dopinder, like I like the DP like little connection that they probably have.
Yep. It's so good. And just like, I love when he's expecting to get paid for driving him there. He's like, no, but I do have a crisp high five. And then later,
oh, I don't carry a wallet in the suit. That for you, buddy. 10. Also, let us not forget our favorite Spider-Man India, also voiced by Dopinder.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yep. We have Paviter Parkar and
Paviter Prabhakar.
Yep.
Look at Josh out here with as many facts as he does fucking Funko Pops back there.
Listen. Spider-Man India would be here if I could have found him in a store. Every time I went, he was sold out. I swear to God, I passed by so many freaking spots. And I'm like, really? I can find fucking Spot, but I can't find Spider-Man India.
I feel like that only means one thing. You got to call Todd's Pop Shop. You know what I'm saying?
The plug is crazy.
Yeah, it's just so it's so well done. All the characters are together, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, it's so freaking funny. Anything else to say on like these side characters, Blind Al, Dopinder?
It's crazy how they made all of them funny.
Yeah. Oh,
like and it's not even like only when they're together. Like even some of the funniest stuff that happens is when they're like on their own, and
Right.
like yes, their interactions with Deadpool hilarious, but also just like Dopinder getting in a car accident, and then you just hear his cousin in the background like screaming, and he goes, "Bandu!" And
Dopinder's stopping in the middle of the bridge, in the middle of the highway, because that's
just to let Deadpool off. Yeah.
Just let him out.
Calling him, and he's saved in his phone with the Deadpool logo under Mr. Pool.
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah,
just like this, these subtle nuances too, and somehow they're all funny, and they like it's just on their own and own level, own way. They're all comedic relief, and usually that's horrible. I'm quoting Ghostbusters 16 on that, but like as soon as you see like a bunch of characters be the comedic relief, it's not supposed to work, but movies like this, they make it work because that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree. If it's like
like
a typical movie, they would have just used like the cabbie as like that would have been their comedic relief for the movie. That would have been it. That would have been the trope. But like you said, they were able to round out and have these characters work together so well, but also be able to stand on their own and make you want to keep watching. Like, you know, not like maybe fast forward the 30 seconds that you know this is a side character scene. Like you want to keep watching because you like these characters. So I do agree. This movie was great, and just the way they did it, like I said even earlier, like the whole like him rolling over the guy's face, being like teabag, you know what I mean? Like that's stuff that like you think about. Like if you were a superhero and my nipple grazed across your face, I would have said something. You know what I mean? For sure. So I get it. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It does
also,
just
I
feel...
just said nipple grazed across your face, and I'm outside my apartment complex right now. So if the cops show up, bail me out.
No, she said that. I do feel like this movie was made in the intention that they probably wouldn't get a second one because it hardly happened to begin with. So they really took every scene and used every bit of character usage and hints to the comics.
Yeah,
fan service, you know.
This leaked and was greenlit within what 24 hours. So the power of the fans is absolutely crazy. So I really don't know if I could agree with that. I feel like they almost knew they were going to have to make a second one. 24 hours is incredible.
Well, they also teased the sequel in the post credit that we'll get to. So they, I feel like that was added later on, but I don't.
Yeah. And you got to think, for this to sit on the shelf for 4 fucking years, and in 24 hours they're like, write it, do it, we're doing it. Like that's amazing. Like, because think of how long other shows like sat on the shelf for. Fuck.
I feel like after it didn't get picked up, you have like Ryan Reynolds and all these other people who are attached to the project thinking of what could we have done, what could it have been, and then when it gets greenlit 4 years later, everyone has fresh ideas that's going to make the movie. And we saw the product. It was a fantastic film, and it's like it's rewatchable all the time. Like it's not something I have to wait around to rewatch in a couple of years because I'd get tired of it if I watched it again in a month. You know?
And it's so quotable. Like the fact that the words "Fat Gandalf" almost revolutionized the nerd culture for a couple of years after that was intense. Like the amount of times I heard the words "Fat Gandalf" over the past fucking 8 years is crazy. Like people should be institutionalized by how often they say it. It's like subtle stuff like that. Like even the brown pants comment, small lines that they probably didn't mean to get his heat. Like they're like, oh, this would be funny, but they didn't think it would like grow into this is going to be the face of the character now. Like brown pants and fucking like cockshot and like all those lines that they're like, oh, this would be funny. And now all these years later, we still use those little lines to like talk about others or like make a joke real quick, and it's perfect.
Kevin, change your name to Skinny Gandalf.
Go cast
Muscle Gandalf.
I'll accept that.
I'm hearing Twunk Gandalf.
He's perfect. He can stay.
All right, and then action scenes in the final battle. I mean, all the action scenes are just wildly entertaining. Like the opening one on the bridge, like where even when they're doing the opening credits and you're getting all the fun like names that they put in there for the entire cast and production, and then you're getting like the slow moving shot over the entire like car flip is really fun, and just like that entire opening battle is great. And then you're even getting the final battle where like Deadpool forgets all the guns in Dopinder's taxi, like because the budget wasn't big enough, and like that battle is still like fantastic at the end. So what are your guys' thoughts on like the action scenes in this movie?
I mean, like I said before, it's good that they like the way they chose characters so that like they could just have people fighting, right? Like they didn't have to have like Cyclops shooting beams and like, you know, they didn't have to have like a crazy thing like that. Like, no, they're just a silver guy punching a really strong girl and then telling her to put her boob away.
Yep.
Action sequences were, God, super good. It's
Yes.
my favorite is we never see, because it's the X-Men. We got like they're the good guys. Like but watching Negasonic Teenage Warhead brutally murder two of the guards by like shoving the car into them, and you just hear like and then they're gone. Like you hear a slight squeal and then they're dead, and you're like, oh, that X person just killed two people. And it's, you know, we don't get to see stuff like that. Or like Colossus, like still trying to be polite and then beating the shit out of the fucking angry rebel. It's hilarious because watching it, and the best part is when Deadpool is in the middle of his killing mode and he just stops the sword, Bob, and we get to see Hydra Bob, one of the best Deadpool sidekicks ever. Just a random Hydra agent who sucks. He should not work for Hydra. But they're like, oh well, we're understaffed. But
the wife and kids.
Yeah. Oh, is Gail still making that casserole? And it's like, but it's so funny because like they have these huge action sequences, and like he shoots the three people, kills two of them, gets stuck in the third guy's forehead. Really? Raising up the sleeves? And like they still have these like brief comedy moments in the middle of a fight. And it's,
oh shit, did I
it usually, huh?
Oh shit, did I leave the stove on?
Yes, they're flying through the air and people are dying. It's just shit. And it's perfect. It's the fight scenes, even especially the last fight, in my opinion, I feel like the fight between Ajax and Deadpool is probably the one that didn't have my full attention. Like I don't know why. It just never fully caught my eye, but every other fight did. Like even when it's just him and Colossus, like, Dad, and then he throws him into the car, and then he's like, all the dinosaurs feared the T-Rex, and like kicks him, and like all the lines.
The one-legged man in the ass-kicking contest?
Exactly, yeah. And he goes, where's your off switch? It's right next to the prostate, or maybe that's the on switch. And then he like throws him, and it's like so many of the lines. It's like in the middle of someone getting their ass kicked, or in the middle of this big fight, they just stop. They bring humor in, and then the fight continues. Even like we mentioned the silver cock shot at the end of the movie. Right before that, he's letting her put her tit away, and she goes, "Oh, that's so sweet." And like it's hilarious how they're like, "Hey, we need a quick laugh, and then we're gonna go right back to the like we're gonna fuck some people up, and we're gonna kill some people here." But yeah, it's even him spelling Francis's name out. And the I is a guy laying on the ground, folded in half with his ass out, and he's decapitated, and his head is the dot of the I. Perfect. Like the action is just everything was thought out, and it just looks beautiful. The counting bullet sequence is still one of the best. Like I only have 12. You're gonna have to share, and each bullet has the number inscribed in it. Perfect.
Bad Deadpool. Good
Deadpool. Yeah, just like
when he shoots the guy 3 times, like bad Deadpool, good Deadpool.
It goes stupid. Worth it.
That and maximum effort.
Yeah.
That
Maximum effort.
catchphrase.
That's my I fucking love that because so many times, like just carrying stuff, and I'm just like, be better. Like so, maximum effort is just infinitely quotable. Yeah, for
I've
sure.
said that about
I also
800
really
times
like
while
the,
carrying groceries. Like it's you're going in the car, you're carrying groceries in, and I like have to lift up a big ass like 40-pound bag of cat food, and I'm like maximum effort, and then just like pick up the bags, and we're walking inside. It's the perfect
17
line to
bags or
use. Yeah, if you
I
need
like the
to,
line where they're like,
if you're looking to strength change, you better say maximum effort, and you will be able to do anything with 40 extra pounds added on.
There you go, Kevin. See, that's the ticket.
I do sometimes carry a 40-pound sandbag around, so I'm already
You
on
think
it.
you can carry 230?
Is that why you wore the brown shirt?
Potentially. With the action sequences, though, it does feel like you're flipping through a Deadpool comic book. Like you would be flipping through the comic. It would be like the same freeze frame of Deadpool laying on a car, hitting the quip, getting thrown away, getting kicked into the next page kind of thing. Like they really took advantage of the fact Deadpool can address the audience and knows that he's in a comic book movie kind of thing. Like right away. Like you almost expect them to bring it in Deadpool 2, because but they nailed it. They nailed everything about it. They made the fight sequences so much better as he addresses you through it, talks you through the fight scenes, makes quips and jokes, and it's all so choreographed. Perfect. I loved it. I loved everything about it. But yeah, the last fight is quite forgettable in comparison to like the rest of the movie. But I feel like just by that final fight scene, you had so much to digest about him getting there.
Right.
That the overall payoff of the final fight wasn't like the spectacle of the movie that most movies are. Like you expect it to be like the peak of the movie, but the whole movie was a peak. That's the problem. Like you can't cap it off because it was all good.
Yeah. I want to say, like, even my favorite part of that final action scene, at least, is when Francis sticks the knife in his head, and you have him, like, because Deadpool's insane.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and then you have him. The music becomes distorted as he's pulling the knife out, so then he pulls it out, and the music comes back, like, without being distorted. Like, it's so good. And then the other thing is like when he's going around hunting people to get to Francis, and including the one guy who works for Francis, Jared or whatever his name is, like he's making fun of I love when Deadpool makes fun of the people who are creepy and like as pedophiles, and then like he's like Jared, he does the Subway joke, Jared from Subway with the foot long.
Fully loaded.
Yeah. Like, it's so good.
The Zamboni drive is the best,
Agent Smith.
5 minutes. I'm gonna get you in 5 minutes.
You're gonna fucking die in 5 minutes.
Because he's so Canadian too, and it's awesome that he's chasing somebody down with a Zamboni. Like Canadian Deadpool is fire. I love it.
My favorite is still the Spanish line when he's like in the hallway and he's like, "Donde la está la Francesca?" And it's perfect.
All right. So
I'm not gonna fill my mouth shut this time.
So then we also have our Stan Lee cameo in this, where he's the MC at the strip club.
Yes.
Announcing chastity.
Hey.
He's a man of many talents.
Came up with it, so like let him be there and let him have that role. He's the one who came up with it.
Now that Deadpool's in the MCU, that means that cameo is also the person telling the story, which is even funnier because it's like, hey, I cut Thor's hair. I was a hippie in the 70s, and I announced chastity at this local strip club, and it's just hilarious. Like it's the perfect cameo for him in this raunchy fucking movie. Why not just have him be the DJ at a strip club? And Stan Lee, you can tell he was like, "I'll do it," and he's like, "Give me the headphones and bring out those titties," and they filmed it, and he was perfect.
What's her name? Chastity. Perfect.
He's like, "That's hilarious. That's my wife's name." No, I'm just kidding, but it was perfect.
So I mean, we can bring up favorite jokes and stuff before we get to our post credit, and then we'll do our rankings. But I did want to mention as well, because we have jokes here about Logan, about Wolverine, and obviously we need to mention them. But right in the beginning, he's like, "Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?" Rhymes with Pulverine.
Wolverine.
And he's got a nice pair of smooth criminals down under.
Because Hugh Jackman's Australian, right?
Yes.
And then you have him putting the People
Yes.
magazine of Hugh Jackman in the gun
People-
bag, and then he puts his
People
face.
magazine over his face when she takes his mask off.
Best part.
It's so funny. And then when she takes that off and he still has the staple stuck to his chin from stapling his face.
It's so good.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, because I imagine him doing that whole fight with that little cutout over his face, which is also hilarious.
Yep. It's so good. Other favorite jokes. I mean,
all of the names on the Deadpool, that's
Yes.
my favorite, of like looking through all of the people that they put on there. And it's like, I know they had like fucking Charlie Sheen. They had like a bunch of famous people up there. And like they had Rob Liefeld, all these like real life people for like comic books or just actors in general. The list is hilarious for all of the celebrities in there. But my favorite is always just every time I see Charlie Sheen's name, I just bust out laughing every time.
Yeah, that's actually hilarious. And then of course a fourth wall break inside of a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
I did like the it's not a love story without a murder. Like, that's
Every
a
great
good one.
love story starts with one. Yeah, perfect.
The
It's like
body,
everything he says.
But we just don't know how it's going to turn out yet.
When he's talking to Colossus on the highway, and he's like, "These people were dead when I got here," and then the body falls off the sign that like splattered into the sign. It's like, it was already like that. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
I showed up and this was already here. I don't know.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, also one of my favorite jokes, which is hilarious because as I stated, I also hate this type of comedy. But when he walks by blind out and just farts and goes #drive-by and then shuts the door to his room, every time, I don't know why, but I feel like every time I see that, I laugh harder. And if that would have been in any other movie, I would have left acting like the most pompous critic, like, what dry humor. Like, I can't believe they included flesh. But in this one, I'm like, hilarious. Like, just #drive-by.
It's just so funny because she's blind and he's walking by, he farts, and then closes the door, which pushes the wind from the door and fart closer to blind Al and the drive-by because he doesn't slow down. It's just,
I've never had anyone break down a fart on the podcast before.
The fact that you're over here telling us the wind trajectory of farts,
that's why it's so funny because he just keeps going, and if you watch, it's so perfect.
See, that's why people listen to Tribe of Nerds. We bring more than just nerd stuff.
Yes,
we bring science. Okay, we have science, and we're breaking this down.
Yeah, every week now, Cam is going to do fart forecasts.
Does New Rockstars give you the trajectory of a
Tribe of
fart?
Nerds fart forecast? Today we're gonna actually when Victoria puts a fan on every night, and sometimes I'll walk by it and I'll fart, and I'll be like, Swedish freezer, and that's like the opposite of a Dutch oven is what we call it, so that she hides under the blankets to protect herself from the fart. We call it a Swedish freezer instead of a Dutch oven.
Okay, well, this is going to be the clip of the podcast.
What the fuck did I just listen to?
I'm currently in the process of calling the police.
I've never told anybody that, but
You
I know that I'm safe.
Welcome, America.
Before, right?
Cam
Nobody
has
else
decided to bring you into the forefront of the Swedish freezer. So, President Joe Biden, when you hear this, I hope you can give him the Medal of Honor. Medal of
How bad
I feel like it would have to be
big
Justin
now?
Trudeau since I'm Canadian.
Swedish freezer. And like, you know, I mean, your poor girlfriend.
It happens so often you named it.
Do you announce it?
It was
when
like
you
a
do it so
discussion
she
about what
knows?
it would be called, like what's the opposite kind of thing. Because I think we were just laying in bed one time and I farted and she hid, and I was just like, what would that be called? And we discussed
I never thought that the Swedish could get more embarrassed, but I think that today has really changed the trajectory of becoming a citizen there.
it should totally catch on. Honestly, I think.
I don't think they would agree, but I
Swedish bigger than like fetch. Like Swedish freezer could happen.
This is a bigger
it hasn't stuck
catchphrase
yet,
than
but
maximum
Kevin's gonna
effort
walk
now.
past somebody in the gym and he's gonna fart and he's gonna be like, Swedish freeze.
I'm gonna walk in front of the fan and be like, I could Swedish freezer this entire building right now.
Yes, you could.
The best part is
Or you
you'll
go
say it
outside
out
and, like,
loud
fart right
and
in the
nobody
AC
will know
unit.
what you're talking about. Just be like, yeah, I totally got this whole gym with a Swedish freezer. And people, what the fuck is that? Like,
just say it and just walk away and they'll be like, what did he just
and
say?
once they, why does it smell like death in here? That's when you know. You're like, I got him.
Hey, bringing death back into it. When's Deadpool gonna get with death? You know what I'm saying? It's gotta happen. Drop Vanessa. Vanessa? Death. You know?
Yeah. We'll see.
Kevin's gonna end up saying Swedish freezer at school, and then we're gonna have a whole new year of students looking at our fucking podcast.
True. It's already
and we'll be in such big trouble.
Swedish freezer.
Yeah, Josh,
Mom, listen to what they were talking about.
Yeah, I had fifth graders this year, and at one point, one kid just walks in one day and he goes, "So, like, do you really not like that pirate Sara girl?" And I was like,
Put your laptop away right now.
That?
Clean your.
That's when you say, "Who's Pirate Sara?"
Yeah, I was so taken aback, and then I was like, "She is annoying."
All right. Well, let's hit the post-credit scene. It's a it's for Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's what it's spoofing. And of course we get a tease of Deadpool 2 and Cable. So which is fun.
Gratuitously played by Thanos.
Yep.
And like, did they even have anything planned out, or was this just like were they just like, you know what? Let's throw, like, all the MCU movies have an end credit scene. Let's have an end credit scene and just like say it's gonna be Cable and fuck it, figure the rest out later.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been. We might have to research this and see like if they just really threw this in and then later acted on actually having Cable in there.
How many years in between the first one and the second
2 years.
one? Yeah,
It was
2. Yeah.
2. Yeah, it was 2016 and then 2018.
Okay, yeah. Do you know how quick they filmed them? Like, yeah, I'm just wondering. Like, yeah, maybe they just decided
that
to change it last
I do
minute.
not know, but clearly it was a shorter amount of time compared to some movie sequels.
Yeah, for sure. Because I was just making a callback to what was it, Pirates 2 and 3, like how they were like filmed concurrently, and we saw how that one went, bad. But this one, from what it sounds like, I have not seen Deadpool 2, so like.
Deadpool 2
I love Deadpool 2. People don't love it as much. I love Deadpool 2.
I do too. Okay. And like it's completely consistent with this one. So
a lot less fart and dick jokes if that wasn't your speed.
Yeah. I mean, I like the teabag joke, just like dick punching. It's like,
I
it's
thought
like
the nipple
like
grazing over somebody's face was pretty funny too.
It does also introduce my second favorite mutant of all time, because Magneto's not in Deadpool 2, but Juggernaut.
Yes,
I know we'll talk about that next week, but that is my second favorite mutant of all time.
Yep. We get an actual proper Juggernaut after the last.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! Like,
iconic though.
That's not the best Juggernaut you ever witnessed, Borucki.
No, we talked about it when we did Last Stand.
It would be funny, like some kind of joke. Like, I like bodily humor jokes that are like funny. So it just came to me like they could have had a girl or a boy like Kevin, because you know how they say like when you're so cold, like your nipples could cut diamonds. So it'd be funny to have someone be cold and their nipples could like cut diamonds or metal and shit. Like that would be a fucking funny thing. Like not
her name's
just
actually
somebody
Emma Frost. She was in a couple of other X-Men movies.
Movie, and it gets cold and she just like freezes her nipple and then cuts something. That would be funny.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, Emma Frost was in First Class, and then there was a version in Origins Wolverine, right?
Okay.
Listen.
See, this is why you guys can't let me skip shit.
Yeah.
As long as we're getting Channing Tatum Gambit.
So. Oh, and Gambit, yeah. Gambit.
We're getting him in 3 for sure. Channing Tatum's definitely showing up.
Oh, we're getting Channing Tatum for sure, and like I would prefer that. Taylor
if he
Kitsch
doesn't, I'm
wasn't-
jumping off the theater.
Really?
I'm making the
I'd be
same
curious
promise
to
I
see
did
him.
when I found out that when I heard that Toby and Andrew were supposed to be in Spider-Man. If it's not happening, I'm off the theater.
Yeah,
I'm going to the roof.
There's just no way it's not going to happen. I just hope it's not like a 2-second cameo. Like I hope he gets like at least 60 seconds of screen time.
Yeah,
If
60
I see
seconds
one
I can deal
fucking
with.
All right,
purple car
Cameron,
fly
that is
across
the
the screen.
second time.
You have said screen time so far. Don't do it again. That don't do it again.
We don't need a Neo Wayne appearance.
Let me go to my
No,
mirror, turn the
he's
lights off,
ready
and
somewhere.
you know what?
All right. Well, let's head to our rankings. So we still have to finish breaking the tie from last week, but I'll get to that in a second. Right now, our rankings as they stand, because we skipped Apocalypse and we skipped the first two Wolverine movies.
I'll help break a tie. I'm opinionated.
Yeah, Josh
tie.
would definitely be the tiebreaker because I think with a couple other people we're still tied. But right now, number 1 is First Class. And then Logan and Days of Future Past are tied at number 2.
Hold on. Sorry. Don't mean to be rude or question anyone's opinion. First Class is before Logan?
I don't have First Class.
I think
number
Logan
1
should
for
be
me.
3rd.
Oh my god.
I have Logan at number 1. Will and
I have Days of Future Past as my number 1 of all time. So I keep
Not judging, good
arguing
movie.
for that to be as high as it can be.
Has my favorite Magneto speech.
That's true. Yes. So Josh, are you, I guess, just be the tiebreaker here? Does Logan
I
get
will
the
say
number-
too, Josh, if you didn't if you rewatch First Class, there's actually a lot of good in that. It was a lot higher when I rewatched it.
I did rewatch some of the X-Men recently before X-Men 97 came out.
Yep.
And I will say First Class is actually my favorite X-Men team movie.
Mhm.
Like I love it as a team movie.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, Logan takes the cake above all other X-Men movies. Mostly just because I will not shy away from the fact that I am a huge Wolverine guy. I've always loved Wolverine because Borucki knew me in college. So Borucki knows I'm an asshole. So I love Wolverine. He's like my fit because he's always so grungy. Yeah, fuck off, bub. And I'm like, yeah, that guy. Like the people who treat me like my dad would, I usually go to them towards characters. So as soon as I saw Wolverine, I said, whoa, wouldn't care about me, number 1. But yeah, welcome to trauma. This is X-Men. Welcome
So
to
by
Marvel.
that logic, the Wolverine and Wolverine Origins should be number 1 and 2 as well,
That's where you
right?
lost me. That's where you lost me. What are we breaking the tie on again, Borucki?
Okay,
It
Logan
was Future
and
Past and
Days of Future
Logan.
Past.
Days of Future Past versus Logan for number 2 because First Class somehow won out and was number 1.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at these. It's just interesting. It's well, shit. I've been put in a predicament here.
This is what you asked for.
It's very fair. I literally, word for word, I did. You're right. This is my own doing. I'm gonna go with Future Past as number 2 because that movie has Magneto in it, and he is my favorite mutant of all time. I have one on my car, and I kept one. You're not gonna be able to see it because it'll be backwards, but Magneto was right. I have this on my bumper as well as a random one sitting in front of my Magneto Funko Pop from the comics. So
listen, as a flaming homosexual in 2024 living in the United States, I very much have moments of Magneto was right. Fuck everybody else.
I mean, I think everybody agrees that
As-
Magneto is right.
as another homosexual in the United States, and these continental United States, I wholeheartedly agree. I have the shirt, I have the bumper sticker, and it's going to be a tattoo. I agree with Magneto on everything.
Mhm.
And it's like, they're like, but Josh, he wanted to kill people. I was like, and like, we just saw Deadpool. Like, he kills people and people love him. Negasonic Teenage
So
Warhead killed 2 people.
The reverse bombing the ship was cool then?
Hell yeah. Hell yes.
Yeah.
Everything Magneto's ever done is condoned by Josh Bradley Ray of Jackson, Michigan. Right? Put that in your journals.
All right. Well, with that, so First Class is number 1, Days of Future Past number 2, Logan 3, X2 4, X-Men 1, 5, and Last Stand and Last, not counting Apocalypse or the Wolverine movies, because we skipped those. But if you want to hear my personal rankings, so this will tie in. I have so far on the rewatch, I've watched everything else except for Deadpool 2, which we'll get to, and then I'm skipping Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, but
God, I don't even mention them. They're out.
Yeah.
I haven't even
They were
seen
never
them.
made.
Well, so I have Deadpool at my new number 1. So I'm gonna be pushing for that. But my rankings go Deadpool, Logan, X2, First Class, Days of Future Past, X-Men 1, Apocalypse, Last Stand, and then the Wolverine and Origins Wolverine is the last 2. So I think Deadpool just like it's the most enjoyable movie so far. And just like it's the most well put together. I think I laughed so much even on the rewatch. So I would hope that we can put Deadpool at number 1, and we'll see where Deadpool 2 goes next week. But what are your guys' thoughts?
You have Origins as last?
It's terrible.
It's such a good movie. Number 1.
No.
Scrolling back up to find my ranking, because now
I'll do mine. I would put Deadpool as 3rd, behind First Class and Days of Future Past.
Okay.
But I love Deadpool. It's just because I love team up movies better
I
than
get
just
that.
the solo stuff.
Yeah.
But Deadpool peak.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Deadpool at number 3 because the other 2 movies have my boy Magnus. So I definitely agree on number 3.
All right, Kevin and Sarah.
I would also agree with 3 because I am not putting anything above Days of Future Past.
All right. Sarah, what are you doing so we can average this out? But it seems like we don't.
So what Kevin said he didn't want, I want to do that.
So are you putting it at number 1 or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So that would be 11. So 11 divided by 4 or 5. Sorry, 11. So
But
that's
also to like justify that,
two
like,
and change. So it's
not only just to piss Kevin off, like I think, like I said, I do like the other movies for what they are. You know, you're going back to the roots of everything, you know, where this all started, how it's just a genetic thing, and it, you know what I mean, how we talked about the symbolism and how like it can be meaning gay, it can be meaning this, you know what I mean,
Right.
all this stuff. But when you get to this point, this is very much up my alley with like snide, shitty humor, you know what I mean? So for me personally, I fucking love this. But if you're going off like pure like film storylines, I would put the other ones ahead, but
Okay.
just for the humor and how I am, I do enjoy these.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. So that would be like, yeah, 2 and change, as Kevin said. But like that would basically put it around 3 anyway. So I think Deadpool is probably a solid 3rd. So
Days of Future Past stays in the top 2.
yeah.
God damn it. All right, so now
Deadpool
since
made
you
the
guys said the
podium.
next one isn't too good, I'm gonna rank that one number 1 too. So
No, Deadpool 2 is still very good.
Yeah, I think we all said it was good.
There's some like some fans have some I don't even want to say controversial, just like they have opinions.
Gripes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some fans don't like it as much, but like I think we're the fans who think it's still as consistently good as the first.
Yeah.
So so
I love it because it has the phrase "I'm Batman," and any
Yes.
movie that uses that phrase, I'm usually like, yeah, you're skyrocketing up higher on my list just because that phrase was in it.
You're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?
Which at that point, thank you, Zack Snyder, for making that the joke of the fucking decade with Deadpool 2.
Yeah, so next week we're gonna talk Deadpool 2 right before Deadpool and Wolverine. So very excited for that. We'll get to talk about Cable, we'll get to bring in Yukio, we'll get to bring in Juggernaut, Fire Fist as well. And so there's a lot of fun stuff, and we'll get to set up Wade messing up time travel and setting up that the TVA is gonna get him.
What are you talking? What?
And is Fire Fist the same one that was Hannah Montana's boyfriend, or no?
No, it's a kid.
Okay. Okay.
Child. Now I'm just imagining that child like, "Oh, Hannah, let's go out on the," because he's a little he's like this little British kid. He's
little chubby British kid.
Okay, so like Harry Potter's brother.
He's so funny though. When
he's
you see
very
him,
funny.
You'll be like, wow.
They consistently took the time to find people who like could go up against Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I mean, if you name someone Fire Fist, I would hope you have like a fire tongue with it, you know?
Yeah. And so like, I mean, I'm sure honestly that they're probably also gonna have Walker Scobell because he was great in the Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds, and because he like literally quoted both Deadpools like by like everything, like he knew.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, he's probably going to be Kid Deadpool.
Yeah, Kid Deadpool is what I've heard. So, and
stop saying things, Jake.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Kevin's
sorry.
on like a trailer only thing, I think.
Well,
no, you didn't watch the trailer?
Know that.
These are all rumors. This is not confirmed at all.
We're just speculating with that one.
It's almost like before we it's like when everyone thought that fucking Scarlet Witch was going to be in Spider-Man. It was nowhere near close to true. But we just love superhero shit so much. We're like,
I love speculating, like just like the idea of like it'd be great to have Channing Tatum because he was supposed to make the movie, never did. It'd be great to have this one and this one, but like la 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 la. If you've seen set photos, don't tell me la 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 la.
The only reson we speculated this kid is because he was in a movie he was in the Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds, and he was in a couple of interviews. He quoted Deadpool 2. The whole opening monologue from Deadpool 2, and Ryan Reynolds was always like, "Oh, that's very impressive," and I was like, "Oh shit!"
And that's why he was cast, like a big reason. And so like, he's also obviously Percy Jackson for the Disney Plus series.
He's our
fucking awesome ass kid.
Easy.
Like number one, saying that you were in a movie with Ryan Reynolds and then you were Percy Jackson. Get the fuck out of here. Like, go. You're so cool. I'm so jealous of a child, and it's embarrassing, but also, what's your life?
We will also, next week, we'll get to talk about Cable. As I said, we'll get to talk about Zazie Beetz joins as Domino. We'll get to talk about Peter and his magnificent mustache. And
Brad Pitt?
Yeah, Brad Pitt and Terry Crews.
The Brad
Bill Skarsgård?
Yes, and Bill Skarsgård. Yep. So
what's his name? Shatterstar?
Yeah, Shatterstar as well, who the character Deadpool does not like Shatterstar, but he's apparently gonna show up in Deadpool.
So apparently he does. He might have saved him.
Yeah, somehow.
Can you imagine Brad Pitt's in it again? We just didn't see him.
Yeah, true. Well, we'll get to that, but very excited for next week, the next couple weeks, and then we'll get to Deadpool and Wolverine, and we'll talk about that when we all see it. So very excited. Anything before we sign off for this week?
Is Kevin allowed to talk about his most recent adventure, or like?
I mean, I'm allowed to talk about it. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to wait till the end of the weekend because I am flying up to Maine on Monday morning to go play a live Survivor game, and like, I got called in to be a last minute replacement, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to talk a little bit about that too.
I hope you come back with like a bunch of bug bites.
I know that Borucki asked, you're like, hey, one last thing. I have to quote one line.
Yes.
Before we're done. I told myself I would, so I have to do it. So for all the kids, like everybody at home, anybody who's watching, I just have to say, I'm touching myself tonight.
All right. Well,
I feel like if that isn't clipped into the new intro, we're doing something wrong.
Watch Josh
Yeah, it
get
comes in, like,
fired
the
from
Marvel
his
logo
job,
with all,
guys.
like, clips.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we will see you all next week on the Tribe of Nerds.
Lucky Sarah.
Fuck you, Kevin.